Right now on Upfront.
Divided government. A new legislative session just weeks away. This Sunday, Attorney General Josh Kaul.
The best thing the legislature can do is address this issue by repealing the 1849 ban.
That is what won't happen.
The Democrat entering his second term, rising crime, drugs, the budget, the state's abortion ban, the big issues ahead just moments away.
Then Wisconsin Republicans making changes.
They're trying to kick out the foundations of this very country. Are we going to let them do that here in Wisconsin?
The new head of the state GOP, Brian Schimming, is here. And a bittersweet farewell.
I'm with the chairman of the Republican Party, Reince Priebus. And Reince, as you watch these numbers come in, what are you looking at specifically?
Celebrating Kent Wainscott. Decades covering Wisconsin politics. Now days from retirement, his perspective, and some big-name farewells.
Taking on the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Upfront.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Big debates about to begin inside the state capitol, and a lot of money is in play.
Democratic Attorney General Josh Kaul wants Republicans to approve a 10% increase to the Justice Department budget, and he's again pushing a $115 million proposal using part of the state's surplus for public safety. It's there we begin our new conversation inside the state capitol.
I'm hopeful that we'll see legislators reconsider, if not the entire proposal, at least aspects of it. We heard from Democrats and Republicans during the campaign about the need to address public safety, and I'm hopeful that we will see people in both parties living up to those promises by making investments. And whether it's through community policing funding or officer recruitment and retention programs, as we proposed, or victim services and violence prevention efforts, there are a lot of investments we can be making into public safety that will help make our communities safer, and I'd like to see those in the budget up ahead.
Last week, DOJ announced in the Fox Valley area 12 pounds, 54,000 pills of suspected fentanyl were seized by law enforcement and agents. That's an incredible amount of fentanyl.
That's right. We are seeing very large quantities of drugs coming into the state, and what's really driving the overdose deaths we've seen is fentanyl. There's been this spike in fentanyl mixed with other drugs, and when we look at the numbers for folks who are overdosing, it's often fentanyl that's responsible. We've also seen, I think, an increase in substance use disorder with the pandemic. So, we have worked both to investigate and prosecute some of the most serious drug trafficking cases in the state. You just mentioned one of the cases we were involved in investigating. We're going to continue investigating those large-scale traffickers. But we've also got to make sure we're investing in treatment programs, recovery programs, prevention programs. And one of the ways we're working to do that is by holding big pharmaceutical companies accountable for their role in the opioid epidemic. We've helped to secure over $400 million, and we're going to keep working to hold pharmaceutical companies accountable so we can fund those efforts that help prevent addiction in the first place.
As you know, Republicans will say the reason this is happening is because drugs are coming across the southern border, and the southern border is not as secure as Republicans say it should be. Do we know if any of these drugs came from Mexico across the southern border in this most recent case?
Yeah, I can't speak to the specifics of a pending case. What I can say is that narcotics come into the country in all sorts of different ways. They can come in over the border, but they can also come in on ships. They can come in through the mail. So what I think is vital is that we invest, first of all, in the kind of investigative efforts that dismantle drug trafficking organizations. The kinds of large busts you're talking about are ones where we are focusing on dismantling organizations. Then we've also got to make sure that we are taking steps to reduce the demand for these drugs. As long as there's demand, suppliers are going to find ways to supply drugs. And so making sure that we get people access to treatment, to diversion programs, and we prevent people from becoming addicted in the first place, those are also critical steps to fighting this epidemic.
Would you like to see a more secure southern border?
Well, I think everybody would like to see a more secure border. The question is, with the resources that we have available, are we using them as effectively as possible? And I think that the Biden administration's approach that it's taken is a sensible one. They've focused on deporting people who are the most dangerous and who we know to be dangerous. But what we really need to do is invest in things like enforcement efforts and treatment and diversion programs. Across the state.
More so than border enforcement.
I think that's where our resources need to go primarily, because across the state what we see is people who are not able to access treatment, who need access to treatment. Ultimately, if we reduce demand, we're going to reduce the impacts of this epidemic.
Kaul is also suing over the state's 1849 abortion law, agreeing it'll likely end up before the state Supreme Court, a legal process that is expected to take months.
In the meantime, the best thing the legislature can do is address this issue by repealing the 1849 ban. I think it's clear that that
Which
is
you
what
know won't happen with
well,
Republicans in control.
it's clear that Wisconsin voters want that ban repealed. That was a central issue in the governor's race, a central issue in my race, and Wisconsinites defied history really and re-elected incumbents of the president's party. So, you know, I'm hopeful we will see Republicans propose serious solutions that listen to the constituents, because it's very clear that Wisconsinites don't want a ban on almost all access to abortion in Wisconsin, but that's what we've got with this 1849 ban.
It appears like they're poised to add rape and incest as exceptions. Should the governor veto that?
Well, first, any legislation that's proposed is going to depend on the details. Certainly to the extent that they can expand access to safe and legal abortion, that's a good thing. But what the terms are of those bills is critical. You know, if the legislature passes a law that is really designed to make sure that that 1849 ban remains in place, you know, that's certainly not something that should be considered.
In all likelihood, does the state's abortion law come down to who wins that state Supreme Court race in April?
Well, I think what will happen with the case will depend on a variety of factors. I believe that we've got strong arguments, and so you know, it's always good to have the law on your side, and I think we do in this case. Of course, you know, the composition of any court will impact the outcome of a case, but we're going to keep litigating the case based on the facts and the law, and I think we've got the better of the argument.
Last week, the U.S. Justice Department asked some election officials here in the state for documents related to the Trump campaign, post-Trump, and actions by the president's campaign. Curious if you have ever considered, I know some have called on you, some have called on local district attorneys to look into false Republican electors here in the state of Wisconsin. Was that ever looked at by the Justice Department, and is there any scenario where you would look at that again?
Yeah, so we don't generally comment on either ongoing or potential investigations into alleged criminal activity. What I can say are a few things. One is, I think it's important that there be an investigation into any seditious conspiracy or conduct that illegally furthered a seditious conspiracy. I'm glad to see that the Department of Justice is thoroughly and fully investigating the events surrounding January 6th and the insurrection. DOJ's role in any case depends on the facts and the law, and so again, I can't comment on anything we are doing or would potentially do, but I am glad to see that there's a full federal investigation being conducted.
Can you comment on whether you're investigating at all at this point?
No comment on what we're doing, and just generally speaking, I can say that it's not uncommon for there to be a federal investigation that then leads to an action at the state level. What will happen with this particular investigation, remains to be seen.
All right, Jaron, looking ahead to January, the governor's inauguration now set for January 3rd. The new session, of course, beginning in January.
Still to come, big changes for state Republicans. The new chair of the Republican Party of Wisconsin is standing by, and Kent Wainscott reflects on 3 decades covering Wisconsin politics.